All right, this is vlog 108 of the Conspiracy Broadcasting Network. This network is my documentary slash vlog on a program of anarchy, terrorism, best described, and the umbrella term would be perhaps COINTELPRO, gang stalking, cause stalking, organized stalking. Um, Really, it's just terrorism and it's just anarchy. And, my channel basically highlights strictly facts and details about this reality, which is life for me, being stalked by hundreds of thousands of people, and the justice system using permissive neglect and coercive control in order to allow it to happen. Essentially, you're placed under this control, um, all aspects of your life, whether it be your finance. And what they do is they're taking and making sure you're oppressed. And then what they're doing is they're controlling you and then having you work, multiple jobs and bounce around. And then they're using smear campaigns, and it's just whatever type of entropy that they can create, whatever type of fear mongering through gaslighting, and persistent third party conversations that are all staged and fabricated. It's just whatever it takes. Okay, it's pure anarchy, and you're cyber stalked at all times. This is still persistent. I'm gonna go over the things that have happened of most recent. I just purchased an 8 terabyte external hard drive, so I should be putting up more video of the hard evidence. I'm trying to keep my hard evidence away from any type of connectivity, because for years I've had some third party always monitoring me, and they'll wait for me to put my videos and pictures and screenshots or any type of inculpatory evidence together in a file. They'll wait for that consolidation to occur, and then they'll come through and wipe the entire thing. Okay. So you have basically white collar thugs that are associated with this and in control of this. And whenever I try to pursue justice, I'm not only being deprived and misinformed and misdirected by the attorneys and the bars associations, but there is I guess a third party watchdog or somebody watching all of my things and always keeping tabs and archiving everything that I have. And anything with a Wi-Fi capability, whether it be a dash cam, whether it be a spy cam, anything that's Wi-Fi capable, they've hacked it. There's been time, and I've got all this, the whole explanation on that is way back in, I think, like the 60s and 70s and 80s vlogs, where I literally show you that they went through and picked out the specific files of the dash cam memory, and then it'll jargle the file and mess up with the internal memory. And I've got all that, I think, in the 70s, 80s. But since last vlog, I spoke on a lot of things. I think one was like the SSRI, one was the skin lesion, one was what else? Oh, the gym trash, and then the other one was something else. But I'm gonna start from as of most recent and then work my way back. So today I decided that I was gonna go to the gym. I went to the gym. I always go now early. Like, I go because I have people following me everywhere I go. I can't go anywhere free of obtrusive stalking, whether it be in vehicle or on foot. And so I've been going around. I wake up at 3:30 in the morning, and I'm at the gym by 4. And if it's not in the morning time, then it's by late at night. So this morning when I woke up, there's this guy there that reminds me of this college roommate named Brian Todorovic. And what they'll do is they're going to take your previous relationships and acquaintances, like basically they're going to take your past life and then the things that you did in your past and the people that you knew in your past, and they're going to reintroduce them basically, okay, into your present life. And they're going to take a bunch of people that look like them. And if it's not exactly like similar to him or her, then what they'll do is, I explained this, I think in like the 90s vlog, late 90s, is they're going to take and make sure that they stage somebody that is in proximity to you in transit as you go through public space or as you're driving through public roads so that you see them. So you may not see the body habitus, but maybe their face is like this to the side. And because that side profile looks like them, they're going to run that through you, okay, through your visual field. And it's part of the theater and the campaign of pollution, okay, visual pollution. And so this guy, he's been there all of a sudden since I started making the habit to go there super early. And I have a picture of this guy. I spoke about him, and I was trying to study him. And what he'll do is he was intercepting me a lot whenever I'm going to different sides of the gym and stuff. And when he intercepts you, they'll intercept you, and not only him, but they'll intercept you as you're usually making a turn or you're standing or you go to lift, like let's just say a weight. Then what they'll do is they'll make sure that they appear, and it's that startle method that I'm talking about, right? 1 second they're not there, you go and do a couple of lifts, turn around, and then they're there, right? And in the past, it was all about invading your personal space. So as you turn this way and no one's behind you or near you, but then when you turn around, all of a sudden someone is walking by in your intimate space. Regarding proxemics, and I mean that to the T by definition, proxemics being how can I influence this person? How can I startle this person? How can I control or disturb someone's mental state? Well, we use the tactic of proxemics being there's a circle around me, okay, and that circle has different distances, okay, aka personal bubble, okay. Conversational space is going to be 8 feet or so away. Personal space is going to be 4 feet, and then intimate space is within that, right? And you can go and look at the context online, but it's a part of psychology, and this is how people interrupt other people. This is how people influence other people and disturb other people's minds using the principle of proxemics. I don't need to say anything if I want to disturb somebody. I can just walk by, or I could just stand around, right? If I'm in a public place, I could just stand over your right shoulder. I'm not touching you. I'm not saying anything to you, okay? It's just like you going into an aisle when you're making a purchase. If you see multiple people in that aisle, you have a heightened sense of aware of the proxemics. You're more apt to use things like etiquette and things of that nature, and you're more apt to be socially inclined to behave a certain way, okay? Say certain things. And so this is what they do is they use proxemics. It doesn't necessarily have to be about opening your mouth, okay? You can nag somebody and harass somebody by constantly invading their personal space. And in the past half of a decade, that's a lot of what goes on in a lot of the stores that I go to, is they'll literally come in and lean. I remember in 2014, 15, and 16, and 17, and 18, you go into a store and these people will deliberately lean into your personal space. And not only that, it's not like it's just one person, two person, it's everybody, and they're increasing the frequency. And it's just so deranged and so convoluted and so irrationally irregular, okay, that it's never happened in your life before. And all of a sudden there's a campaign of people disturbing you and invading your personal and intimate space, touching you, bumping into you, and things of that nature. So this is what I deal with whenever I go out to public places, in this case, the gym. Now, this guy that looks like Brian, I looked at him. I was trying to study him and see what's going on, because sometimes they have other little physical attributes that they're trying to show off. And sure enough, this guy, he has a right ankle that is distorted and deformed. And so when he walks, It's almost like he has some type of I don't know if it's like a old fracture or something. But long story short is they're using semantics in this case. Okay, and it's always semantics. It's always abuse. It's always about we're trying to get you into error. We're trying to cause a problem so that way we can go and make fun of the problem or control you due to the problem. Okay, that's how this works. That's how the women in the past are controlling you and always distancing themselves now for a decade. And their sole purpose was always to come in, target your manhood, and then always talk about your manhood. And then in social settings, stare at your manhood. And it's always about putting you in a bubble and a mental state of inferiority and a mental state uh, of a lower self-esteem. They're trying to bring you down. And if you're just having a conversation, they might say something like, "Why are you so cocky?" And they'll use things like this. When you're talking to them, they're going to say, "Huh? What's that? Huh?" Or they might say, "You're weird." Okay. And so what they'll start doing is they'll start using this type of conversation around you, and you have no clue what they're talking about. And long story short, what they're doing is they're prepping you and priming you for additional abuse later and allowing your employers to talk to you and yell at you and do all of these things and accuse you of things that aren't true, and then have the police intimidate you and harass you. Okay. So it's an organism that we're dealing with. So this guy, he shows up exactly when I show up, and he's been doing so for numerous days and numerous weeks now. Okay, for almost like I would say close to a month. Um, when I got in there this morning, I told you about the trash thing. There's a worker that works there, and I was on the treadmill. I was doing a warm up. I like to do 5 to 10 warm up, kind of like the zone one. And long story short, um, I just knew that when people start walking around me, because you've been conditioned for so long, you've been conditioned to abuse. You know what people are going to do. It's like having an alcoholic father, or it's like having, narcissistic family and friends. You just know what they're going to say. You know what they're going to do, right? It's like having terroristic police. You know what they're going to say. You know what they're going to do, right? So you start anticipating it, right? So this guy, he's walking behind me, and I'm ready to get off. He knows that I'm getting off. And what they'll do is they start monitoring exactly my patterns. So they'll monitor what I'm doing in the house. Then whenever I go to the gym, they'll start patterning that too. Okay. And so long story short, I turn it off, but I notice that he's coming and walking behind me. And usually I just hop off. I always do the same thing every time. I hit the button and then I let it slide me back, and I just do a little hop right off the back. I do this every time. I've been doing it for years, but I knew that this guy was anticipating it. Okay. And so what he did was he was waiting for me to do that. And then what he did was right when I hop off facing the console and turn, he was right here, literally in proxemics wise, I would say 3 feet from me. Okay. And he was bent down picking up trash. So he was waiting for me to come off, turn. And while I'm doing that, he wanted me to see that he's picking up trash right behind me and going to the trash. Now you have to remember, this is like 4:02 in the morning, and there's 3 people, me and 2 females, inside this building. Okay. And this guy is behind me picking up trash while I'm getting off of the treadmill. He's waiting for me to spin off, turn, and whenever I come off and turn, he's there on the ground, grabbing some trash off the ground and throwing it into. I waited for him instead. I didn't get off. I just let it slow. I didn't hop off, and I just kind of waited. And I just noticed that he's literally behind me, grabbing something off the ground and going to the trash at exactly the time I'm getting off. Okay. That's how this morning started. So I knew then that we're already in, the regular routine, which is let's stalk him and let's always do this whole trash semantic campaign bullshit. Okay. So when I get home, after being stalked by white SUVs, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. There's one white SUV or there's one red car driving in front of me. at all times. So to the gym, they make sure that there's a white SUV driving in front of me. And I believe today there was one that intercepted me on the on-ramp. Okay, so I'm going on to like a 55, 60. And as I'm merging on the on-ramp, you have a white SUV coming like this and then driving in front of you. So the whole time you're driving, there's a white SUV all the way to the gym. Okay. And then when you get out of the gym, it's the same thing. Okay. You're going to come out the parking lot, you're going to go. And then when you're coming out that parking lot, they have these white SUVs driving in front of you. Okay. You come up to a light, white SUV. The only vehicle coming across that intersection, white SUV. You take a left, and then another SUV got in front of you, and then you're going all the way home, and this white SUV will come up another one and just drive in front of you the whole time. I have that on video. So that's still the same thing, okay? Again, I'm being terrorized, okay, and I'm being stalked. Anarchy is occurring, but for some reason, the police don't want to do anything about it. They want to allow it to happen. And so now I have to stop everything that I'm doing in order to go defend myself over something so blatantly obvious that's on their dash cams, on my videos. And so I have to get an attorney for this. I have to go spend $3,000+ for an attorney, plus whatever fees if I get a conviction. Okay. So I get home and I decide that I'm gonna paint. I got some little things I want to kind of seal outside for water purposes, protection, etc. I'm doing some carpentry. I'm doing some painting. I'm doing some things that I should be doing. Okay, so I get the ladder out and I'm measuring distances and I'm cleaning and I'm scrubbing and I'm doing some prep work. And I've got these white SUVs and these vehicles increasing their frequency, coming right down the side of my road. Okay, so the second I get outside, they want to do the noise and the visual campaign, which is I'm going to drive by every 30 seconds, every 20 seconds, I'm going to drive by. Okay, and I'm going to bring in some white SUVs in there. So I had to deal with that. And then today's trash day, and the lady over here beside me, I'm always paying attention to what's going on out there. All of a sudden, because I'm painting and sealing some of the upholstery wood on my house, all of a sudden she wants to come out the backyard while I'm in the middle of it and start grabbing her trash can. I've been here over 2 years. I've been here 2 years now, over 2 years. Okay. She ain't ever done that before. But the second I'm accomplishing something, the second I'm doing something, it's a fucking problem. Okay. This is the pattern at all times. When I'm accomplishing something, when I'm living life, doing what I'm supposed to be doing, there's always interruption and pollution and some type of harassment regarding it. Okay. And Sunday, I just mowed the yard yesterday. I mowed the yard and I finally started working on the big portion of the yard. Okay. And so I'm getting back into controlling all of my property. Okay. So then I'm on top of the rung this morning, on top of the ladder rung, because I'm like 2 stories high. And I'm on top of my rung and I'm listening to music. And so because things are going my way, because I'm not answering to the spam and I'm not taking job offers that are part-time and full of entropy and abuse, and I have a full focus on what I need to be doing, all of a sudden the cyber stalking starts to ramp up. And so this morning when I'm on the rung, they decide that they're going to turn my music off. And they do this every single time I'm doing something, every single time I'm accomplishing something. They're over here using whatever cyber stalking, whatever means of electronic warfare, whatever weapon they have, okay, which is always my cell phone. They're going to use it. Okay, they're going to use it. So when I'm lifting weights, when I'm accomplishing things, they waited for me to have a pan of paint and a paintbrush in my hand. I'm 2 stories high, okay? And then they want to cut the music off when I'm listening to it. And I'm not saying just pause it. I'm saying back out of the app, okay, completely. So on that, I want to say another tactic that they use is, and this is why I stopped using my cell phone as a means of an alarm, because the Pegasus that they're using, or the updated version of it, and it goes beyond that because Pegasus is the common term, but they have a bunch of other ones now. There's like 3 or 4 different other ones that are basically proprietary, like essentially similar, okay, to Pegasus. So I don't know, and I don't really give a shit what they're using. This is the fact that it's actually being used. But they're taken by my alarms, and they'll go into the apps of the phone, and your alarm technically is an app. If you go and look at your apps settings and the list of those apps, it's technically an application. It's not like a default clock per se. That is within the hard drive. It's more of a, you could take that app out and get like a completely different one if you didn't like the format or the background or the font, for example. So there's many clock apps. But long story short, this technology is inside my phone. And when I was working at American Medical Response in Virginia Beach, I would use my phone when I was getting off of shifts because I was getting home late, but required to get back up and go back in, doing 13, 14-hour shifts, running over. And what they're doing is they're shutting off your alarm. So they're using this cyber stalking to shut your alarm off. So when you set the alarm thinking you're getting up to go to work, you'll notice that the alarm, one, it didn't go off, or two, you will literally hear it turn off by itself. You never even touch the phone. It may have rung one time and then turns off, or you'll realize it didn't even ring at all. Okay. And so what happens is you don't realize this is going on. You might try to think, oh, well, I forgot, or maybe, I just got busy, but it's not. It's these guys are going in and turning the alarm off. Okay. So it makes you, 10, 15 minutes late for work. But the thing is that's what they're willing to do. That's what they're willing and willing to do to terrorize somebody. So they turned it off twice when I was up there, playing, again, semantics with this whole recent charge in February. I've been having every day or every other day, 1 or 2 of the spam calls still. I have this communication with the whole opposite sex. What they've tried to do in the past is they've always tried to play a homosexuality card at all times for some reason. And then what they'll do is they'll have women want to chat with you, but you'll realize that when you have a chat with these women, the only reason why they're chatting with you is so that they can have a conversation that reflects what you should be doing or what you're going to be doing. I.e., I talked to a woman recently, and she's talking about how she did some things this weekend, how she got her oil changed and this, that, and the other thing. Technically speaking, I should be changing my oil, right? And so what happens is they keep tabs on everything that you're doing. And then what they'll do is they'll try to demoralize you by keeping you isolated and then putting on paper all of these things about you and painting this shell and this veil, throwing it over you. It's not true. And then they start drilling your life down and hacking away at everything, your health, your finances, everything, all avenues of your life. And then what happens is you have these conversations with these women. They act like they want to connect, but the only reason they're connecting with you is so that you could be abused by the simple fact of mockery or some type of, the best thing that they like to do is because, in my eyes, a woman should be fit, friendly, and feminine. What they like to do is they'll take the exact opposite of that. And if they're willing to connect with you, these women that are opposite of that, they'll act like they don't want to deal with you, right? And this is how a man gets caught up in relationships for not the appropriate reasons, right? Also gives them the ability to abuse you psychologically because you're not that type of person to begin with, or you don't usually have those type of values, or you usually don't agree with that type of a lifestyle, or you're more responsible in this regard. And what happens is they try to creep in and then they act like you can't even get that. Okay. Things that are opposite. And so what happens is they'll take the women that you normally wouldn't go for, and they'll have them abuse you by ghosting you. And so they're just doing whatever it takes. It's a complete circle, a complete cycle of terrorism. Okay. Saturday. This is all this weekend. So on Tuesday of last week, I had this police officer pull up beside me. I guess I don't know if it was like what was it? Maybe like a shift, a morning shift or something. I don't know, but I was coming back from the gym, and his squad car was 171, and I'm driving, and as I'm driving, he and I both stop at this light, and in front of me, to my right, diagonally, was another squad SUV who was doing like speed checks, and when this 171 black SUV stopped, I could see through his window, and when he stopped and he was just looking at me the whole time until the light turned green. He just sitting there staring at me right through the glass, just sitting there. Okay. Didn't say nothing, whatever. And then decides to drive and go about his way and speed off. Well past the speed limit. I don't know what the deal was. No lights, no sirens. So he wants to, I guess, try to intimidate me. I don't know. Again, his vehicle was 171. He was in lane 2. I was in lane 1. June 9th on a Monday. Okay. So I decided that I was going to plant some shrubs. So I want some privacy. I was going to put a little plant veil / screen. When I was doing this and measuring all the borders and everything, I think I ended up putting around 10 plants or so in. It was a chore. I had all of these vehicles starting to fire up behind me using this noise pollution, okay, and frequency pollution, okay. So what they'll do is they'll wait for me to come out, and they know when I'm looking at the street, like where my body is positioned. And what they had was a city police officer come down the road and pass up my mailbox. And then they had a white SUV behind it. Okay. And then I'm sitting out there kind of like in the middle of the project, the whole project per se, out of the 10 shrubs, digging holes and measuring boundaries and stuff. And I can hear someone kind of talking all of a sudden, louder than there should be. And this is what they do is they're always trying to find a way to get your attention. They're always trying to find a way to disturb you. And usually that's going to be loud conversations, which I've spoken about many times in the past, so that they can make you look, basically. And I already knew that this is what they were doing, but in my periphery, I could already see what they were doing. And so they had a conversation that they fabricated, but they had this white SUV pull up like this, kind of right down the parallel to the road, and then kind of turn almost like at a 30 degrees in the middle of the road, like this. And where this SUV is positioned if you were to draw a line from the beginning of my yard to like where my line of sight could no longer see, this guy made sure that he parked exactly in the middle of my property, in the road though, a ways away. Like we're talking like maybe 150 feet away, but he's in the road, okay, past my neighbor's property and then actually in the road. But he makes sure that he's like almost in line with my body, and he's trying to, I guess, yell with or have a loud conversation with another neighbor across the street. Okay. So, and then he's got this white SUV like this, and I could see him doing this number like in the road. Like he's kind of like backing up a little bit, then kind of doing it. And it's just whatever it takes. This literally, these people are on whatever the fuck it takes to get your attention, to abuse you, just whatever it takes. So I had to deal with that while I'm planting my shrubs. The next day, the neighbor made sure to throw a piece of trash near the shrubs, but make sure that it's on her property. But the trash is only in eyesight near the shrubs. Okay, there's no trash anywhere else on the property. And this is how she always does this. She always does this, is whenever I accomplish something, she always makes sure that the trash is somewhere in line of sight. And if you go to look around the rest of the yard, there is no trash. The only area that she puts the trash is between the two shrubs, so that when I'm walking, I could see it. When I'm walking to and from the front of my house to my vehicle, and I look to my right on my property out there, I could see it. But if you go and drive past her property, there's no trash anywhere else. Okay? This has been going on for years. Okay? Ever since I moved here. Okay. That pretty much sums it up. I didn't want to get too crazy here. I'm just going to also say regarding the cyber stalking is when I was in physician assistant school, they were erasing my research paper. So I was working and I was towards the end of my physician assistant studies, physician assistant bioscience in graduate school. And I was working and putting things in my hard drive in my laptop, and they were going through the laptop and the hard drive and in the thumb drive and erasing my work as I'm trying to complete it on therapeutic hypothermia. Okay. And then what they had is a psychiatrist get you to be removed and use political abuse. Okay. By psychiatry, political abuse by psychiatry to get you removed and make sure that you can't go back to school. And then they had you pull money out and use all this time and all this resource to move up there. Okay. And then since that time, they're going to sit here and follow you around and continue to go through all of your electronics. Okay. And harass you and get you to job hop and do all of these things. Okay. And so recently as well is I stopped my EMS in nursing, and I had a company reach out to me for a remote position, and they want you to be a coordinator. The problem is these people are still using the phone as a means of abuse. I'm not going to be doing anything secretarial, okay, because they're going to want to abuse you in any way, shape, form, or fashion using cyber stalking. And cyber stalking is their main weapon, okay? I can't go outside. This is the same thing that I've been saying since I moved here, and way before that, is I can't go outside anywhere without a vehicle making sure to time when I go in and out of my front or back door. When I physically grab a hold and go through the door, there's a vehicle passing by. Okay? And I'm not going to be a coordinator doing any type of coordinating or any type of secretarial work, because what they want you to do is to jump into this entropy and have all these phone calls and all these things go awry. And they're going to use the phones as a means of abuse. Just like I've said in the past, where they use the computer as a means of abuse, right? You're trying to log in and your preceptor is asking you to maybe go check on something, and they might be walking behind you, checking over your shoulder, and you're trying to log in. And the whole fucking time, these assholes are sitting there in the cloud watching the screen, and they're making sure to lock you out. So you're putting in the password correctly, but they're making sure that you don't get access to it. And then they want you to look like the clown, to look like the hippo, okay? And the whole time, they're just sitting there fucking with you. And then when you go walk to the computer, the next one, the preceptor or somebody's going to say, oh, it must be the computer. And then what happens is you go to the next one and the screen is on. And then what second you go to grab either the mouse or you touch the board, before, I'm talking seconds before, the screen goes blank and it sleeps. And they're just controlling it, and they're just harassing you everywhere you go. Okay? Everywhere you go. And the other thing too is they're making you do all these little part-time jobs and everything. Go work here, go work there. And it's just all entropy. That's all it is. It's all entropy. And they want you to go and exercise your mental state over here and do this, dress right, dress over here, while everybody else is trash and all of this stuff. And they want you to sit there, and the whole time you're going to be abused, you're going to be followed, you're going to be stalked. Everything that is illegal, okay? Anything and everything that's illegal, they're willing to do it. And then they want you to sit here and work these part-time jobs, not so that you can make money, so that you can slide by and keep you in this little margin where it's just enough for you to slide by, but it's not enough for you to get an attorney, or it's not enough for you to get what you need to get done, or it's not enough for you to go where you need to go, or it's not enough for you to apply for things that you need to apply for. It's just like that. It's just fucking control. It's just whatever the fuck it takes is what this is. Okay? It's anarchy. End of discussion. There's so many violations of law, okay, that are being broken. And on top of this, they continue to do it. Okay? They continue to do it. And the thing is every time I go to approach somebody, they act like they're not doing anything. So I'm really, really, really close to going to small claims court with one of my neighbors. And I know the second I either write a piece of paper and ask him to stop doing what he's doing, he's going to come and reply back with sucking his teeth and acting like he's not doing anything. And it's the same thing. You go talk to your employer, you go talk to somebody, and you do it the professional way like you're supposed to, okay? And the thing about it is they just ignore you every single time. You go talk to the supervisor, you go talk to HR, they ignore you. They ignore you. And then they're playing a part of it. Okay? And the problem is when you get into the court, they're going to act like they're not in the wrong. Okay? It's just like whenever we were talking about the community college. I've got a video on that. I've got multiple community colleges. One for a female that was groping me in the middle of class while I'm trying to sharpen my pencil. Another one is I've got an instructor who is deliberately subverting and putting on this campaign of subversion throughout her lecture, the way she's scheduling things, okay? And in the way she's using the exams, okay? When I go to address that with the panel or the committee, they want to act like nothing's going on. And you can hear that conversation, okay? The problem is it's, okay, if it's not going on, then why does I have to deal with it in the next place that I go to, or the one before that? It's the same thing, okay? It's the same thing. You know, Mark's Outdoors. So I didn't ask for those eyes to be put on there. We had an agreement about what we had going on, what we wanted. So why would you do that? This rod doesn't have a geometry of eyes like that. So why would your craftsmanship be in opposition to that? Why would you put something opposite of the original craftsmanship?
Basic customer service. Oh, you nicked the string on my bow, and there's blatantly multiple strings frayed. Their response in Illinois, Dunn's Outdoors, oh, it's fine. What happens a year and a half later? Bow blows up on the fucking hanger. Okay? And the thing is people look at you like you're stupid. Like you don't know what you're talking about. Again, I have to go explain this in court. I have to go explain this.